You feel stuck even though you're doing everything right regarding weight loss, then this video is for you. Have you ever noticed how quickly we label ourselves whenever something isn't working? Because almost without thinking, we begin saying things like, I just don't have enough discipline, or maybe I'm simply lazy, or if I really wanted this badly enough, I would finally make it happen. And what's so heartbreaking about those thoughts isn't simply that they're painful, but that they're often completely untrue. It's just a belief, it's not a fact. You may look like lazy, but there is another problem underneath your laziness. Just to use one example, after working with thousands of women for so many years, I honestly cannot remember the last time I met a woman who was genuinely lazy. Because women who sign up for that kind of inner transformation are far from being lazy. They're serious, they're goal focused, they're determined, they have willpower, they have discipline. But what I meet instead are women who wake up before everybody else, who work incredibly hard, who carry responsibilities that most people around them never even notice, who are building businesses, raising children, managing careers, supporting partners, caring for aging parents, remembering birthdays, organizing holidays, solving problems for everybody around them, and somehow still find enough energy to smile when somebody asks them how they are doing. And yet, despite doing all of that, they quietly lie awake at night wondering why they still feel as though they're failing. How sad is that? That's the part nobody sees. That's the part most likely not even you see yourself. People look at successful women and assume everything must be going well because success has a very convincing way of hiding exhaustion. And from the outside, it often looks as though she's managing everything beautifully. She's productive, she's reliable, she's the person everyone depends on. She's constantly achieving, constantly giving, constantly solving problems. But what people rarely see is that underneath all of that competence, there is often a woman who feels permanently tired, overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and quietly disappointed with herself because there is still one area of her life where no amount of hard work seems to work and to produce the desired results. And I think that's one of the loneliest experiences a woman can have because she's built her entire life around the belief that if she works hard enough, she can solve almost any problem. And in so many areas of her life, that's actually been true. That reinforces the belief that hard work works for weight loss as well, makes it even more difficult. Because hard work helped her build her career. Hard work helped her build her business. Hard work helped her provide for her family. Hard work helped her overcome obstacles that once seemed impossible. And yet, so naturally, she assumes that the answer to weight loss must simply be even more effort than she can come up with, more discipline, more control, until one day she finds herself asking a question she refused to ask for a long time, which is, why does the one thing I want so badly for myself seem to move further away the harder I try? That's a very, very good question. And that's actually a question which should come much sooner. And you should really listen when that question comes up within your heart. You should really listen well because that little voice wants to tell you something very important. Perhaps you've looked at your own life and thought, this doesn't even make sense anymore because I'm capable, I'm intelligent, I know what healthy eating looks like, I know what I should be doing, I can manage projects worth hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions. I can lead teams, solve complicated problems, and make difficult decisions every single day. So why on earth can't I seem to manage something that other people may look so simple? Lose weight. Number one, what looks simple with other people is not. They're struggling with the exact same questions, with the exact same problems like you do. Remember, it's social media, social media lie, so you can't rely on what you see. But and did it ever cross your mind that these before and after pictures you so admire may be Photoshop? Or what is even more likely, that the woman on those picture has gained weight again since she took the picture. We can only see how they're dancing around in their bikini, showing off their slim body, and after a few months, they seem to disappear, and you wonder what happened to them. While you still hold their perfectly slim image in your mind, wondering why you can't get that. That's the social media lie, imperfection. It has nothing to do with reality whatsoever. And if you've ever had that thought, I want you to hear something very clearly. Nobody else has most likely ever told you, because I think it has the power to change the way you see yourself. The problem is that you've been trying hard, doing the wrong thing for far too long. The wrong thing regarding weight loss. And thus your body got tired, exhausted, and maybe even deprived, most likely deprived of vital nutrients, because trying harder only works when effort is actually the missing ingredient. And while there are certainly situations in life where that's true, I don't believe that's what I see in most women anymore, because what I see are women whose lives have quietly become one long exercise in effort, where every day feels like another list to complete, another deadline to meet, another person to support, another expectation to fulfill, another responsibility to carry. And after years of living like that, and they certainly don't need another motivational speech telling them to push harder, because they're already pushing harder than most people could possibly imagine. No single person has an idea, not the slightest idea, what overweight women are going through. They can't. You can't push yourself to lasting weight loss. It's not possible. Your body will not allow that. The problem is that the human nervous system was never designed to live permanently in survival mode. And that's exactly the mode you live in as long as you are on a diet. It's not going to work long term. It was designed to move into survival when necessary and then return to safety once the danger has passed. But what happens when the danger really seems to pass? Not because you're running away from wild animals anymore, but because your inbox never empties. Your responsibilities never stop. Your phone never becomes quiet. Your mind never seems to switch off, and perhaps most importantly, the conversation inside your own head never allows you to feel that what you've already done is enough. Can you imagine living in a house where the fire alarm never stopped ringing? After a few minutes, it would be irritating. You would go nuts. After a few hours, it would be exhausting. You might even have a nervous breakdown. After a few days, you don't even want to go home anymore. But after a few years, something even stranger would happen, because eventually the noise would become so familiar that you might almost stop consciously hearing it, even though your nervous system would still be on a constant response to it very single second. And that's actually the real point. Most of my clients used to live that way for years, until their pain became louder than the background noise. And then they searched for help. The problem is, alas, most women wait for years or even decades until they look for help. They always believe, oh, I'll just need the next diet and then everything will be fine. And that's not true. It would be nice if it was. We all would be slim by now if it was true. The problem is the constant pressure. I should be doing more. I should be further ahead. I should have figured this out by now. I should have lost the weight years ago. I should be stronger. I should. Yes, if diet was the problem, then yes, I would highly agree. And then it would also work. Pushing harder would work. But since it doesn't, and since millions upon millions of women all around the world are facing the exact same problems this very second and every second of the year, there must be another problem. and also another solution. After listening to that invisible alarm for years, it really isn't any surprise that your body eventually begins behaving like a body that no longer feels completely safe. And worst of all, your body can no longer trust you because your body knows that dieting is not safe, that it's the wrong approach. And is it any wonder that suddenly out of nowhere health problems, relationship problems, maybe even problems at work appear that were never there before, or even worse, chronic illnesses? Here's something I wish every woman understood. Your body is not constantly asking the question, how can I lose weight? That's not your body's concern. Your body knows exactly how to lose weight if you would let it do its job. But each time you get on a diet, you interrupt your body's attempt to losing weight. Your body's constantly asking, how can I remain safe despite such madness? That's your body's and your nervous system's biggest concern. And these are two prerequisites for lasting weight loss. And if your nervous system has quietly been living in survival mode for years, then the weight isn't simply about calories anymore, but about protection, conserving energy, responding exactly as a beautifully designed human body responds when it believes life has become a long period of stress, deprivation, pressure, and uncertainty. It's high long-term stress you don't even realize anymore. That's why it takes me more time to undo the diet damage in my clients than it takes me for the actual weight transformation process. Please don't understand me because I'm certainly not suggesting that stress magically creates body fat or that nutrition suddenly becomes irrelevant, because that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that your biology never operates separately from your psychology and from your mindset and from your emotions. And when your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your nervous system are constantly communicating the message that life feels overwhelming, it shouldn't surprise you that changing food alone fails to create lasting freedom. It must, because we have changed the menu without ever changing the environment in which that menu exists. It's the environment, not the food. You know what I find fascinating? The women I work with are often extraordinary achievers, not because they necessarily see themselves that way, but because when they begin telling me about their lives, I'm often amazed by everything they're already managing. And while they're apologizing for not having lost the weight, I must say, I honestly don't know how you have managed to carry everything you've already been carrying. I also work with a few men. It's completely different. Completely different. Carrying a business is heavy. Leading people is heavy. Making difficult decisions every day is heavy. Being emotionally available for everybody else is heavy. Trying to meet your own impossible standards is heavy. And there is one very important and pivotal point in weight loss. Your inner emotional weight, or I should say the other way around. Your body weight is a direct response to your inner emotional and psychological weight. Your inner psychological and emotional weight shows on the outside most of the time. And then on top of all of that, you've also been carrying guilt about your weight, being disappointed about another failed attempt, frustration that nothing seems to last, and the constant belief that you're still not good enough. And drum roll, it's the inner weight we first need to deal with in a different and healthier way. And then the body can take care of the outer weight. So the real question most likely isn't why you're struggling, but how you've managed to keep going for so long. And I think that's a much kinder place to begin. Be kind to yourself, because kindness creates something that pressure never can: safety. And I say it again, safety is one of the prerequisites that your body can let go of excess fat. And safety changes everything. You can still be a high achiever without feeling overtaxed and stressed. The only thing that must go is the inner pain and pressure. When your mind begins feeling safer, your decisions begin feeling different. When your nervous system begins feeling safer, your body begins responding differently. When you stop fighting yourself every single day, you suddenly have energy available for creating a life instead of constantly surviving life. That's why the work I do has never been about weight per se. Yes, women come to me for lasting weight loss without dieting, although I'm not even a weight loss coach. I'm a root cause transformation expert. And when some old inner stuff is being healed and the root being uprooted, the weight loss happens automatically. Weight is simply one of the places where misalignment becomes visible. And when you diet long enough, then the weight becomes a physical disease, a metabolic disease. And then it's really hard to lose it. So rather stop now as long as weight loss is easy. It's our symptom which guides us to the right solution. So begin listening to your body's symptoms. And the right solution is almost always individual. There is no right diet, there is no right exercise, there is no right weight loss program because your story is individual and therefore the solution must be individual as well. So that's another reason why going on the same diet with millions of other women is so ridiculous. So please stop it. Stop the madness. It's not going to get you anywhere. The deeper work helping women is to uncover the invisible beliefs, emotional patterns, and subconscious survival strategies that have been quietly running their lives for years. That's your next step if you're serious about lasting weight loss. And once those hidden stumbling blocks begin dissolving, something beautiful starts happening naturally. And women then tell me things like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm making different decisions without forcing myself anymore. Or food doesn't seem to have the same emotional power over me. Or for the first time, I feel as though I'm working with myself instead of constantly fighting against myself. And every time I hear those words, I'm so happy and it makes me so proud because that's exactly how alignment feels like. And please don't ever mistake to ignore or underrate these changes. Regardless of how small or subtle they may appear, the changes inside are huge, even if you don't realize it. Yes, they're subtle, but they're essential and they're lasting. Like one of my clients, Giselle responded to her former partner when he called her baby, as he always did. It burst out of her, I'm not the baby, I'm a lady. Now, let that sink in and just think about the meaning and what a tremendous inner shift has happened before it burst out of her without thinking about, I'm not a baby, I'm a lady. Yes, yes, exactly. Honestly, that was one of my proudest moments and a reason for celebration. That's the kind of transformation I want to see in my clients and in you, because you deserve it. Because that's in that moment, it became apparent that Giselle's entire belief system about herself has completely changed. And that within 12 weeks. When those subtle inner shifts begin to happen, you no longer need to drag yourself through life. The same amount of work becomes lighter and easier to handle. You no longer need to negotiate with yourself every morning. Instead, you ignore the scale, ignore it, throw it away, give it away, store it in the basement or in the attic, and the calorie table in your kitchen as well. Your body doesn't know calories, so you can forget the calorie theory once and for all. You no longer spend every waking moment relying on willpower because the battle itself begins becoming quieter. You no longer fight a battle with your body. And when the battle becomes quieter, the energy that was once consumed by resistance suddenly becomes available for living creating, laughing, loving, building, growing, and becoming the woman you were always capable of being underneath all the noise. So if you've been sitting here quietly thinking that you're simply lazy, you're simply weak, or perhaps there's just something wrong with you because you've tried so many times and still feel stuck, because you see those situations as failures, then it is my hope that you'll allow yourself to consider one final possibility before we finish today. Maybe you have never lacked determination, otherwise you would not be here. That's for sure. Maybe you've simply been carrying too much. We can't carry endlessly, and maybe your next breakthrough won't come from pushing yourself even harder than you already have. Maybe it will come from finally releasing everything you have been carrying. That doesn't mean that you no longer have to do what you always do, but you will do it in a different way, with a different mindset, and with less stress and less pressure. Everything becomes much more naturally. You go through the day naturally, doing this and this and this without pressure, naturally. Because once survival mode slowly gives way to safety, and once the woman inside you is no longer spending every day fighting invisible battles, something remarkable often begins to happen without nearly as much force as you expected. Because weight loss is not really hard. What you're going to experience is the weight begins to move without dieting, without exercise. There will be one day when you realize, "Shh, I must have lost weight." The goals begin to happen. The confidence quietly returns. Not because you became someone different, but because you finally became aligned with who you really are. It's about alignment. You deserve it. If this resonated with you, click the link below this video. I have created a 5-day mini course where it's about that invisible wall women hit during the dieting, where they can't seem to pass through. And on the other side of that wall, weight freedom. That's what you most likely want, weight freedom. Click the link and I'll see you in that 5-day mini course. And by the way, it's free. Take care.